Live from Town Square Towers at the heart of the Jersey Shore. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Get up, get out, do something. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. So let's transition from politics and laundry. And let's move over to the arts. And with us in studio, we have Valerie Morone. She is a local artist, member of the Laurelton Art Society in Brick. Good morning.
Hi.
My turn to cough now. Oh, my goodness. So, Valerie, why don't you tell us a little bit about your art, what you do, kind of what you're all about?
Okay. Right now, I'm doing oil painting, and I do very traditional representational art, mostly landscapes. I do portraiture. I have for years worked as an illustrator, so that was my background.
Oh, cool.
But and I used to work at Hallmark Cards as an illustrator for them.
Okay.
So and then when I got married and moved here, I did freelance. And when my kids went to school, I got involved with a lot with them. And now that they're in college, one's in college, one's out of college, I started painting and getting back to my artwork.
So had you always painted, or is this like kind of an evolution for you?
Well,
or you always use oil paintings?
I've done oil paintings in the past, but yeah, it is more of an evolution in that's what I decided to concentrate on.
Right, and that's cool. So how did you decide when you're getting into illustrating and that? I mean, first of all, did you know early on that you had an aptitude for art? I mean, did you excel in like third grade art class while the other kids were doing stick figures? You were doing like full portraits?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started drawing. Oh, I think I remember drawing at 3 years old.
Really?
So yeah.
So like when you were in class, would you be like drawing something on a notebook while the teacher was talking?
Yeah, especially during math.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. See, and I was always drawing. X-wing fighters, and I was drawing like Star Wars stuff. But they were little Star Wars stick figures, and they were shooting each other, and then they took me guidance, and it's a long story. I actually shouldn't even talk about that. It's really embarrassing. So you knew you were good early on. So how did you at that point pursue your passion? I mean, what did that look like?
Well, I always excelled in art in school, and then in high school, I took whatever art classes were available, and I decided to major in illustration when I went to college.
Okay.
So I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in illustration.
Okay. And so when you decided you're going to get a Bachelor of Fine Arts in illustration, is your family like, what are you doing? You're never going to make a career out of the arts. Get a real job.
I was pretty independent, so I just did what I wanted to do. I've been on my own
Okay.
since a young age. So, the world was a little different then. That was back in the 70s.
Right. So you remember that is what you're telling me.
Yeah. That's what I remember. And there was art, it was mostly geared towards the advertising and that type of thing.
Right. And you never considered going to advertising, though? Or I mean, had you? I mean, because that seems like the natural progression typically, right?
I did my internship in college at an advertising agency.
Okay.
So I really didn't know what I was going to do with it. I wanted to do illustration, and Hallmark came recruiting at my college. I went to school out in Arizona, and that's how I ended up doing the greeting cards and that paper products.
Very cool. Very cool. So that's a pretty cool way to parlay your art ability into something else. So now you're very active locally. So tell me about the Laurelton Art Society in Brick. What do we know about that? Like how would people identify them?
Okay. Well, it's a group of artists that meets the second Friday of every month. We meet at Brick Township High School during the school year, September through June. And we get together, and they have, once a month, they always have some artist, usually somebody locally. Sometimes we've gotten people in from New York who demonstrate their style, their art. We've had watercolorists, we've had illustrators, we've had oil painters, portrait artists. So we have a meeting and they demonstrate for us and teach us what they do, and we could ask them questions, and we have our own show.
Cool. So it's a it's a collection of artists really in the area that are not only coming together to kind of compare their own notes and talk about what they're doing, but also to kind of workshop style, almost like professional development for artists.
Yeah, and it's not just for people in Brick. There's people from Jackson, Toms River, all over that can come and go to the meetings and participate.
Okay. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the Guild of Creative Arts in Shrewsbury, right? Because it's another local guild. So what do they do?
They have shows every month. I just joined them pretty recently. Unlike Laurelton Art Society, which I've belonged to for like 27 years, I just joined the guild in June. And they have a large gallery area.
Okay.
And they have shows every month. And they also have a classroom area, and they have some of their artist members teach children's classes. They have adult classes and all different things, painting, drawing.
Right.
So,
and so you join these groups. Is it hard? I always wonder. Brian Hanlon is a good friend of mine, the sculptor here in town, who's like the official sculptor of the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame and has done works all across the country. But when he talks about the class, he wants to teach a master class at Ocean County College. And the class he wants to teach is the financials of art, meaning how do you parlay your talent, because there's so many talented people, how do you parlay your talent into cash, right? How do you monetize it?
I need to take that class.
Right, because that's the hardest thing,
that
right?
It's very hard if you're an artist.
So I know that you, for example, you have like a Facebook page where you show your art, and you have all kinds of things, and you're joining all these societies and these guilds because you're trying to get yourself out there, right?
Right.
But it's very difficult to get yourself noticed or to kind of get yourself somewhere that people are going to see it and go, ooh, right? I mean, is there? You haven't found the secret sauce just yet, right?
No, not so much in fine arts. With illustration, I knew what I was doing.
Right.
I knew what I was getting into, but this is a whole new ball game.
Right. Very cool. Okay, so when we come back, I also want to talk. I want to talk about the Princeton University Art Museum.
Okay.
Okay, because I know that you're an ambassador there, and then we want to talk about that. And I would like also to talk about the Toms River Art Stroll. So we could do that.
Yes.
Cool. Valerie Morone, Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, talking the arts at the Jersey Shore and beyond. Listen to the news, then come back to us. All right, be right back.
Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Live from Town Square Towers at the heart of the Jersey Shore. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. Get up, get out, do something. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, 6:32, Thursday, August 25th, 67 degrees, got up to 86 today, WOBMAM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio, streaming live on the radio pop app and WOBMAM.com, 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We are joined in studio by Valerie Morone. We are talking about the arts, the Jersey Shore, et cetera, et cetera. So tell me about the plein air painters of the Jersey coast. What is that? First of all, what does plein air mean? What does that mean?
It's a French term for means outdoors.
Oh.
So we're a group of painters that paint outdoors from life.
Oh, cool. Okay. So you're a member. So you're a member of that group.
Yeah, it's a group I just recently joined. I just recently had an interest in it. So I looked on the internet and found them, and I joined them a few months ago.
My goodness, how do you have time to meet with all these different groups?
I don't know.
I mean, Jesus, there's a lot going on here. There's group after group after group, and you're bringing art. Are you like bringing your art with you everywhere you go? Is it?
Well, a lot of these groups I either create art with them, like the plein air painters, or I exhibit art with them.
Okay, cool. So it's just more ways to use as an outlet. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you are also an ambassador for the Princeton University Art Museum. Mm-hmm. All right. So what is that? How does one become an ambassador? Like, what does that application process look like?
It's almost like applying to Princeton.
Really?
It's a new program that they started a year ago. Their docents usually work the information desk, and besides what they do as far as taking people on tours of the museum, and they decided that they would reach out to the community and see and start an ambassador program. There's about 30 of us, and they put on their newsletter, which I subscribe to, for anybody who is interested. And they had an application process where you told about your art background, any background working with the public. They want people who are very friendly, work with the public, love the museum, and are interested in promoting the museum. So we volunteer. We have a minimum of I think 3 hours a month, where we volunteer at the museum.
Okay. Now you participated earlier in the Toms River Art Stroll, the downtown art stroll. What? So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not that familiar with the art stroll is. So,
okay.
So what is that?
All right. It's the first Thursday of every month. It just was started by John Delaney.
Okay.
And he reached out to the community and wanted to start something where we would have like an art show and sale. It's first Thursday of every month, downtown Toms River, 5 to 8 p.m. And it's May through October, weather permitting. And the artists set up displays of their artwork all along, I think it's Water Street. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to grow that into being a bigger event. He also has some musicians there playing music. He'd like to have all the arts included.
Cool. So it's like a pop-up art show.
Yes.
Very cool. And it's that's you said the first Thursday of every month, weather permitting.
Yeah, all the way through October.
Wow. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So you're doing that. Now I know you also mentioned to me that you have there's an Ocean County Library event coming up, right?
Yeah, and I was contacted by them. I guess they found out about me through a gallery owner. There's supposed to be 15 professional artists showing their work there. I think we're going to have, I think we're allowed to have about up to 20 pieces each. And that's September 17th, 6 to 9 p.m. at the Brick Branch of the Ocean County Library. And it's a fundraiser for the foundation. And art will be available for sale. There'll be wine and hors d'oeuvres. And you could purchase tickets through their website. And
very cool.
That'll help the foundation.
So how many pieces would you say you've sold so far?
I've sold mostly prints of my pieces.
Okay.
And I've only been doing oil painting and the fine art for 2 years now.
Okay.
So not that I haven't done it just for fun, but as far as a business.
Right.
So I've sold a couple of original pieces and I don't know, I can't count them, but a lot of prints, canvas prints
right.
of my
Well, more
art.
Importantly, though, how many greeting cards did you sell? See, I would do that. I would be like, if I were like my own personal marketer, mm-hmm. I'd be like, over 30 million pieces that I've done have been sold.
Probably millions and millions.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of bestsellers when I worked for Hallmark and then freelanced for a lot of greeting card companies. I've had a lot of bestsellers.
Do you have like a portfolio of your best greeting card illustrations?
I have a greeting card portfolio. I have a fine art portfolio. I have so much work I have to keep switching what goes in what portfolio according to who I'm showing it to. So, yeah, I do have a greeting card.
And
portfolio.
how do you decide what pieces to bring with you to a show? Like, there's a lot of different, like, are there some pieces that you're just particularly proud of and you think best exhibit your abilities?
Are you talking about like an art
Yeah, so let's
stroll?
say let's say you got the you're I mean you belong to, at last count, 77 different organizations.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
No, I don't think so.
So maybe I'm over dramatizing. So it's about 32. So 32 organizations, right? And you each one of them, they have these like little pop-up shows, and you come and like I was just at, I know you weren't at this one, but I was just at Art in the Park, right? And so you see somebody and they set up their booth and they have their little like tent and they have their walls, their fake walls that they set up where they can hang art, and they hang like, I don't know, 15 of their best pieces, and then of course they have the little book of prints and things like that. So how do you decide which pieces you're going to put up there?
Okay, well, with the arts organizations I belong to, sometimes they have a lot of them have themed shows.
Okay.
So you pick pieces that would work with the theme. It just depends where you're showing, what the audience is. Like the downtown art stroll, I found that it's probably not good if you have very high-priced original oil paintings, especially at an outdoor setting.
Yeah.
So I tend to bring prints, and I make greeting cards now of my fine art pieces. So I started bringing that to the art stroll. So it just depends what venue you're showing in, and like when we had the fundraiser for the plein air paint for Family and Children's Services, the plein air painters had that. So we brought all plein air pieces that we did around New Jersey on site, and that's what the theme was of that show.
Right.
So I guess you go according to what the shows are and what the themes are.
Okay, very cool. So when we come back, right, we have a couple things for you. Number one, we're going to give you your magic wand. Right, so you have the ability to make a difference, make an impact, change the world. Okay, and then I also want to know where people are going to be able to see your art. Whether it's online or whether it's live in the not too distant future. Okay.
All right.
Valerie Morone, local artist extraordinaire, and if you need to know about a guild or an artist group, she's the woman to talk to. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. Back after this.
Everything you need to know about the Jersey Shore. This is Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
All right, we are back with Valerie Morone. We are talking about the arts. And so, Valerie, it's that time where we give you the magic wand, the pixie dust, the fairy dust, the ability just to wiggle your nose and make an impact on the world. Something out of the ordinary, something that you wouldn't have typically just done, but now you are all powerful and you have the ability to do something. So what are you doing?
Well, I would love to have a community art center in the area, something where we could have studio space and artists could create art and exhibit space in there. So maybe like a co-op or something. And John Delaney, who heads up the art stroll, has even talked to a lot of us artists and asked about our thoughts on something like that. So it's something that we'd love to have here.
Have you ever seen that in action?
There's a art center in it's a center for the arts in Princeton.
Right.
And they have a dedicated building, and so I've seen something like that, but something more, I was thinking something more along the lines where you actually have studio space.
Right.
And the artists who paint there or sculpt there can exhibit their art. So I guess it's more like a co-op.
Yeah, we saw the coolest thing. I saw the coolest thing in Philadelphia, where they took an old abandoned church, right, and they repurposed it, and so you had a training space, which was like a space for like either meetings or for like classes, right, and then you had all of these little cubbies all around the church of like for artists to have space, right, and so you probably had about 20 artists that had space there to do that. And then of course they were also displaying their art in various spots throughout. So you had it was like a gallery, but it was also a workspace, and it was also a training space. So and it was just such a cool spot. And so that's kind of, I think, the vision of what we would love to be able to have somewhere here at the Jersey Shore.
Oh, that'd be great.
Where artists could gather, and then it's just kind of like the art just kind of oozes out of that building into the rest of the community, and that's kind of how it starts. So I'm smelling what you're stepping in, Valerie. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Valerie, where could folks go if they want to learn more about your art, see more of your art? Where are they going to see you? Where are they going to, where can they go?
Okay. Well, I have an art Facebook page, Valerie Morone Fine Art and Illustration. So they could go there, and I post my work there and also work in progress. September 17th, like I said, they'll at 6 to 9 p.m. there'll be the Ocean County Library fundraiser. I'll have art there, and that's at the Brick Branch of the Ocean County Library. September 24th, a group of us artists gathered by a friend of mine, Diana Capra. There'll be 8 of us artists that will be having a show at Gotham in Red Bank.
Oh, nice.
And that's 12 to 3 p.m. And afterwards there'll be live music. So that'll be a fun event.
And I think they may have a bar there, too.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
So, and then September 10th through October 1st, I'll have a piece in the members exhibit at the Arts Council of Princeton, and I'm always showing at the Guild of Creative Arts. So there's always shows going there, so I'll have some pieces there.
So other than that, you're nowhere.
No, I'm nowhere.
See, belonging to 32 different arts guilds and organizations pays off when you're being in different spots. So that's awesome. Well, it's good to hear. It's great to hear local artists that are kind of getting out into the community and showing their wares at as many spots as possible, and also that have ideas for how we could create an even more robust arts community. So great job by you. Really beautiful stuff. I was checking out your Facebook page before. We wish you nothing but success going forward, okay?
Thank you so much.
Cool. Valerie Morone, Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. We'll be back after this.